Just before midnight in Tehran, Colonel Ni'matollah Nassiri arrives at the Prime Minister's guarded home, carrying an order meant to end the government before dawn. The Shah has signed 2 royal decrees, one dismissing Mohammad Mossadegh, the other naming General Fazlollah Zahedi in his place. Nassiri expects the paper to remove Mossadegh. Instead, the officer at the gate takes the decree and arrests Nassiri. The courier meant to remove the Prime Minister is now his prisoner. The army units behind him scatter. The Shah flees Iran. The State Department's assessment, relayed to Tehran by CIA headquarters, is blunt. The operation has been tried and failed. 3 days after Tehran announces that failure, the same decree will be read over a captured radio station as tanks move against Mossadegh's house. How does a coup die at one gate and take power 3 days later? 2 years earlier, Mossadegh helps drive a parliamentary vote that takes Iran's British-controlled oil industry into Iranian hands. To millions of Iranians, nationalization means sovereignty. The country's greatest source of wealth should belong to the country beneath it. Britain wants Mossadegh removed. The Eisenhower administration joins a covert plan as Cold War fears turn Iranian instability into a strategic emergency. But foreign intelligence cannot simply appoint a government. Power in Tehran runs through the Shah, parliament, the army, police, clerics, newspapers, the bazaar, and the street. The plot needs an Iranian replacement, General Zahedi, and a royal signature that can make his claim look constitutional. That is what the firmans provide. 2 sheets of Persian script carrying the Shah's seal. They are not an uncontested legal verdict. They are a claim to authority, and a wager that enough institutions will accept it. The first plan is military and synchronized. Deliver the decree, seize key headquarters, control the police, take the radio, and install Zahedi before resistance can organize. On August 13th, a nervous Shah signs the decrees at his Caspian retreat. 2 nights later, Nassiri leads an Imperial Guard column through dark Tehran toward Mossadegh's residence. Loyal troops are already in position at the gate. Nassiri hands a copy of the dismissal order to the officer commanding the guard at the house. As he turns away, he is arrested. Elsewhere, the units assigned to seize military headquarters, police headquarters, and Radio Tehran fail to secure their targets. Some never move. Others are disarmed. The operation collapses without the rapid chain of control it requires. On the morning of August 16th, the government broadcasts that it has defeated a coup. The Shah hears the announcement, leaves his summer palace, and flies to Baghdad, then Rome. Zahedi disappears into hiding. Officers are arrested. Statues of the Shah are torn down. On August 18th, CIA headquarters relays the State Department position. The operation has failed, and Washington should join no further move traceable to the United States. By every visible measure, Mossadegh has won. For part of August 18th, the street belongs to a different crowd. Hundreds of Tudeh demonstrators march through Tehran demanding a republic. Their leaders warn Mossadegh that a second coup is coming and ask him for 10,000 rifles. He asks for details. He does not arm them. The operation stops trying to organize a synchronized military seizure and starts organizing fear. Its own later account is blunt about the method. Convinced Tehran that keeping Mossadegh could mean a communist state. But the paper at Mossadegh's gate has not disappeared. Copies of the signed firmans move outward to Zahedi's supporters, newspapers, and a planned world press interview meant to establish the Shah's claim before Iran and abroad. The decree no longer has to remove Mossadegh in private. It can accuse him in public. If the Shah truly dismissed the Prime Minister, supporters ask, why is Mossadegh hiding the order? Why did he arrest its courier? Who is now defying whom? CIA officers push the firmans as Zahedi's credentials and as proof that the Shah has acted. An internal agency history later describes the change plainly: a rapid, concentrated, and effectively improvised psychological warfare campaign. The operation's weakest object, the order that failed, is now its strongest story. That story still needs Iranians willing to act on it. Royalist organizers, clerics, newspapermen, police officers, soldiers and civilians with different motives. Foreign money can help create an opening. It cannot make a city obey on command. Around 8 on the morning of August 19th, roughly 3,000 pro-Shah men carrying clubs and sticks begin moving through southern Tehran. A British operational account says many in this first group are obviously hired, including unemployed men and people linked to Zour-Khaneh exercise clubs. Trucks and buses appear to carry demonstrators across the city. They shout for the Shah, threaten the bazaar, attack party and newspaper offices, and create the appearance of momentum. Then the composition changes as other Iranians enter from shops, offices, and side streets. Some are royalists. Some oppose Mossadegh. Some fear the communist demonstrations. Others follow a crowd that suddenly looks as if it may win. Even the CIA's own record says the exact origin of some groups is unknown. CIA-linked agents helped lay the groundwork and provide what one station report called the spark. Their own record also admits many people in the streets had no connection to them. A paid beginning is not the same thing as a fully paid uprising. The decisive question is no longer how many people are marching. It is whether the state will stop them. Tehran's police chief orders that the demonstrators not be obstructed. Some police officers begin directing their movement. Mossadegh orders tanks and armored cars to disperse the crowd. A US telegram reports that General Daftari is appointed Tehran's military governor and police chief. The orders arrive late, and some soldiers arriving to enforce them join the demonstrators instead. By midday, military trucks, armored cars, and Sherman tanks are moving through Tehran with portraits of the Shah. The street movement now has transport, weapons, and access to government buildings. A large crowd turns toward Radio Tehran. Soldiers block the road, but cooperate with the people moving toward the station. In Kermit Roosevelt's later account, the normal broadcast is still talking about cotton prices. Then, around 2:15 in that account, the program changes to music. Moments later, the signal goes silent. At roughly 2:30, Zahedi's followers force their way in and capture the station. The first announcements do not describe a finished victory. They manufacture one. Listeners are told government offices have fallen and Mossadegh has fled. False reports that make resistance feel pointless. Then an announcer reads the Shah's firman appointing Zahedi prime minister. Zahedi himself takes the microphone and announces his government. The order that could not pass one guarded doorway is now moving through every radio in the country. The broadcast does not merely report the transfer of power, it helps create it. Government offices begin falling with less resistance as the radio repeats that the result is settled. Zahedi emerges from hiding and rides with military supporters through the capital. Mossadegh is still inside his residence, protected by loyal troops. The first crowd attack is driven back by machine gun fire. A second attack supported by troops also fails. Then heavy Sherman tanks arrive and begin firing into the house. Around 6 in the evening, the defense ends. The gate is broken. The residence is looted and burned. Mossadegh escapes the burning building over a rear wall, then later surrenders. The sequence matters. First the decree, then the claim, then the crowd, then police and military defection, then radio, then overwhelming force. This is how the failed operation becomes a government, not through one magic trick, but through institutions switching sides in public. The simplest version gives Kermit Roosevelt a bag of cash and turns Tehran into his puppet theater. The official record is more disturbing because it is more complicated. CIA money, propaganda, agents, and planning helped create the spark and keep the operation alive after failure. British intelligence helped design the operation. The Shah supplied the decrees. Zahedi and royalist networks supplied a replacement government. Iranian police decided not to stop the movement. Iranian officers and soldiers gave it coercive power. Additional civilians gave it scale. Foreign money mattered, but it acquired power only when Iranian institutions and additional civilians moved with it. Foreign intervention is not erased by Iranian agency. Iranian agency is not erased by foreign intervention. The operation succeeded where those forces overlapped, and where Mossadegh's remaining institutions failed to hold. The Shah returns to a country in which his authority is stronger and political opposition is narrower. Mossadegh faces a closed military trial and spends the rest of his life under confinement. Within weeks, Washington grants the Zahedi government $45 million in emergency aid. By late 1954, a U.S. intelligence estimate describes martial law, censorship and repression curtailing opposition, and the United States as a major acknowledged influence in Iran. August 1953 does not mechanically cause the revolution of 1979. Iran's next 26 years contain their own conflicts, choices and violence. But the coup gives later distrust a documented memory. When Iranian politics threatened Western interests, secret intervention helped decide the government. And the operation's entire reversal survives inside one object. The paper never changes. What changes is how many people, institutions and weapons stand behind it.